Afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the last methodological webinar of the GRACE webinar series. Our focus today is on game-based learning, which is an innovative approach that leverages the principles of play with the aim of enhancing engagement and motivation among pupils, as well as, of course, their learning outcomes. Our speaker today is Luana Silveri, who's currently working at the Center for Learning and Teaching of the University of Groningen. Welcome, Luana. Luana is an ecologist who's now dedicated to STEM education. Her research focuses in particular on how games can be used to explore sustainability issues in the classroom and to foster system thinking. During this session, we'll explore how game-based strategies can be effectively integrated into educational contexts, examining both theoretical insights and, as usual, practical applications. Luana will guide us through key concepts, but she will also give some practical real-world examples. For example, we will learn how to find the right game to introduce specific contents, which game mechanics are most effective in developing key skills, and what role the teacher should play in a game-based lesson. Before we begin, once again, I'd also like to thank you, our wonderful tutors and facilitators, Louisa, Jennifer, Mike, and Ryan, who will support the discussion in the breakout rooms. As usual, the webinar will last 2.5 hours because it is a methodological webinar. And during this webinar, we will both work in plenary and in breakout sessions. Since we have a long afternoon ahead, I'll pass the floor straight to Luana, and I would like to thank her for being here today with us. Luana will also be holding a workshop, a one-day workshop during our residential course next week, for the lucky ones among you that will be with us in Trento next week. So thank you very much, Luana. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Daniela. And I'm happy to be here with a lot of colleagues. So I'm going to share the desktop. Okay. Now I hope you can see the desktop, my screen, and I have a first question for all of you. I prepared a pair, two just short online pools. I don't know if you want to skip them or if you don't want to skip them. What I will ask you, and we can decide from step by step, is to use your mobile phone and use the QR code to do the online pooling. So we can decide when we want, if we want to do it or not. Okay, so Daniela already introduced me, but just to let you know, I am an ecologist, but I am also a colleague of all of you because I am a teacher at secondary school, and I am a science teacher, and I teach biology and chemistry. I'm working on the education and on game-based learning from the beginning of the COVID era, as I call it, because it was one of the things I tried to introduce with my students to keep them out of the overwhelming feelings that they were feeling during the COVID. So just a brief introduction of what I would like to talk about today. I know that the agenda is really packed with a lot of topics and a lot of information. What I would like to do is to give you just a kind of first sip of the big topic that we can discuss about. Is a kind of way to intrigue you, to give you some hints, and to introduce to all of you to this amazing world of games as a way to teach. I call it amazing because it's something that can work not just for students, but as I always said, I, as a teacher, want to be the first that is really excited to give a lesson to my students. And this is one of the best way I found to be really happy, excited, involved, engaged in preparing some lessons on some topic for my students. So we will start with a short introduction about what are EU green competence, because we are talking about sustainability, and sustainability is also a matter of competence and content. We will have the first breakout room. Then we will start with the theoretical introduction to what game-based learning means, what a game is, and then we will have a short break. And then we will start with the breakout room number 2, and we will end the presentation, hopefully, with some specific and concrete example of how we can introduce game-based learning at school. So the first step is this one. So let me know if you want to try or not with this. If you want to try with this online pooling, it's enough. You just have to use the QR code. And I have to activate it to you. So, okay. I think now it's open. So you can start. I can see. Okay, present. Okay. We can see the responses here. Thank you. Okay. So a lot of colleagues from science, STEM, and okay, anche literature, English, economics. Perfect. Languages. Okay. I will give you some seconds more just to have an idea. You are not, it's not mandatory to reply. So, okay, we can wait with this. This is the second. This is more about your understanding of your idea about the concept of sustainability. When you talk about sustainability, which one is the picture that best fit with your idea of what sustainability means as a concept? Okay. Okay, so I can see that for the majority, the fourth one, so the idea of collaborating together to save the planet, I would say, that is the best fitting images. Let's go with the last.
Sorry to disturb you, Luana. Yeah. If you put your presentation onto presentation mode, maybe we can also see the results. I don't know if this was your idea that we can also see the results. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
If you put it on presentation mode, it should work.
Okay. Can you see now the result of the polling?
We can, thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Never mind.
Okay, so the idea that you have in your mind when I talk about games at school, which one is the best picture that can fit with your idea of games at school? Okay, so all of them. There's not a right answer. There's just our perception and what we think. So it's not a matter of what is wrong and what is right. Okay, so thank you for this. Now I can come back to the presentation and we can start with this again. Okay. So One of the questions I asked you was, what is sustainability as a concept? And most of the time, when we think to the representation of sustainability, we think about something like this icon. So the idea of the world with the humanity as part of the world, then try to save the world. So humans are part of the concept of sustainability, but we often see ourselves as a kind of the person that are in charge of saving. However, we are most of the time the person that the actors on the planet that not often save the world, save the planet, but we use the resources, the natural resources, because we need of that. We need that. And we do it not being really aware about the complexity. In the pictures, you can see just the graphic representation of what the reality is. And this is a simplified version of what the reality is, because the reality is this one. This is a real food network and is a partial food network. The part above the sea level is the part that we can see. The other part is what we ignore, is the real food web, and it what can sustain us, that because we use it, we need fisheries to eat. And this is one of the biggest problem of the concept of sustainability. Because when we come to the sustainability concept, we have to understand that sustainability is defined as a wicked problem. So what a wicked problem is a problem where you don't have just one element and you can't find one solution to fix any kind of problem. You just have to consider that there are a lot of conflicts, a lot of different interests in the same problem, involved in the same problem. And you can't find just one solution that can fit with all the needs and all the requirements. You can just consider the problem as a kind of system. So you can just try to find a way to move the system and to run the system in order to move them towards the idea of future you can design at the beginning of the analyze of the part of the problem analysis. So we don't have one single solution for a wicked problem. We can't reach sustainability with just one single action. This is what a wicked problem means. We can't find one solution. And, okay. It means that to understand sustainability, so to provide our students with a good level of education about sustainability, we should give them the tool to understand and read correctly what is the present, so the system thinking approach. You should provide our students with the tools in terms of contents and competencies to envision the future, so to have a common idea and common understanding of what the future can be for all of them, and then provide them with the ability to act, so with what we call agency. It means that sustainability education is a matter of knowledge. So we have to give to our students some contents that are not just scientific contents, so STEM, chemistry, biology, and whatever, but we have to provide them with a lot of content and knowledge in the field of humanities and in the field of the economic and social sciences. And I am really happy to see that some of you here comes from other disciplines, because it's really relevant for them to be aware about the complexity in terms of knowledge that that our students have to be. So it's not just a matter of knowledge, but it's also a matter of competencies. This is the spectrum of all the competencies that our students should have to be able to tackle with the future challenges. As you can see, there are a lot of competencies. So from a more general understanding, we can consider them as sustainability competencies. But more specifically, we could be more focused on this one, the last one, which are the, oops, I don't know if you can see my, the green skills. What they are. This is the framework. Green skills are designed and theorized thanks to the European Green Competence Frameworks. As you can see, we are talking about 4 different categories. So we are talking about this first category of embodiment, the value, how we can provide our students with what they need to embody, to have their values in a way, to change their values in a way that they are going to include sustainability, nature, nature protection, equalities, peace, social sustainability, economical sustainability as part of the value of their value system. Embracing complexity and sustainability. As we said before, sustainability is a wicked problem. We can't imagine that is easy to understand. So we have to provide our students with the ability to understand and to read the complexity. Envision the future when they are able to see the complexity, to see the different level of complexity they are going to deal with. We should provide them with the abilities they need to have to build together, to develop together a common idea of the future. And then at the end, when they will be provided with all the 3 sets of competencies before mentioned, they should be able to be actively part of the society to make concrete all the ideas they develop together. So in the end, what people need to design a more sustainable future, starting from a wicked problem, to change this wicked problem in a way that it can be an evolving and common designed solution, so future. We should give to our students the possibility to have a strong scientific background, where scientific doesn't mean just STEM. Scientific in this sense means has a more broad meaning. It means the set of knowledge that they need to have to understand the system. The awareness of the complexity of the system. So we should provide them with a good set of EU green competencies to give them the possibility to reframe their personal value and envision a common future. So,
sorry, Luana.
Yeah.
Are you still sharing the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
I can't see it, but maybe I'm the only one.
I can.
Okay.
I can see it.
Okay, then it's on my side. Sorry.
Okay. I don't know if I can help you in any way, but okay. We are now at the end of the first part of my workshop. I don't know if you want to ask me something, or if you don't have any question, we can go with the first breakout room. Let me know if there are any questions, or we can go ahead with the first breakout room. I don't know why, but I can't see if there are and
There are no
raised.
questions at the moment, so.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we can go with the first breakout room. So the general idea is to work together on different aspects of sustainability and identify the key content and competencies that students should know about sustainability, and specifically about one aspect of sustainability, because as we said, it's a really big and wicked problem, so we can focus just on one aspect of the sustainability. Ideally, this breakout room will be 20 minutes long, but we will see how it will take. Okay, just a brief introduction and instruction, then please don't worry. I will send you now a link. It's open, and the link is the file where you can fill in your thoughts and your ideas. So it will be the file that we are going to share to discuss the result of the breakout room. And in this file, you will see the same instruction you are seeing now. So if something is not going to be clear, you will have the same instruction. So each group will work on a list of content and competencies related to one specific topic. So first of all, you should find a topic linked to the concept of sustainability that you want to deal with. I don't know, climate change, renewable energy, waste management, forest protection, something like that. It can be big or really small. It can be general or really linked to a specific place. It doesn't matter. Just a hint. If you take it really general, you might be some problem in finding the correct or a good list of knowledge and contents. So, but it depends from the type of the problem you are going to deal with. Then you are going to, after the topic, you will list the contents in terms of STEM disciplines, but not just STEM. So please be open to include also other knowledge that you think are needed to have a clear understanding of the problem, of the issues. And then I will ask you also to focus on the list of competencies. They can be both EU Green competence, but also life skills and other skills. So focus firstly on the EU Green competence, but please do not undermine all the other competence that you need to understand and to deal with the problem that you decide to deal with. So the contents, and as you can see, I added here some just suggestion. If you're talking about, I don't know, waste management, you can include nitrogen cycle or whatever. So I will ask you to write these ideas on a sharing document, and I'm now going to share with you the link.
I can share the link, Luana, if you want.
Okay.
Okay, in the chat,
link?
right?
Yeah, exactly.
The drive link, okay?
Yeah.
Done.
Okay, thank you. And now you can be splitted in the breakout room. Okay, so thank you all for doing this kind of tasks. I want to ask if one person per group want to share what the group experience. I mean, which kind of experience, what kind of experience do you have? Did you have? What kind of competences you found really complex to find, so to describe, to list, okay? And the same about the contents. Or so one person per group, just to share what happened in the group while you were working. So let's start just with this one. Here's forest protection topic. So I'm going to call the group forest protection.
Is anybody from the group willing to talk about our experience, please?
The biggest problem you had, the difficulties in finding the contents or defining the skills.
Okay, I can do it.
Thank you
Okay,
very
thank
much,
you.
Raul.
So we arrived to the topic very fast. It was proposed by one of the participants, and we all thought it was good. So we went straight to the specific contents, and I think the debate was very prolific because there was a lot of input from the group people, and I think we arrived to the specific contents related to forest protection really fast. And then
Okay.
we had a bit more difficulties on the skills. But even though I think we got a good list of what the skills that are necessary to work on forest protection.
Okay. Yeah, I just have a question for you as a group. What do you mean with research skills?
That was added later. So
Okay.
I think we talked about having real life experience of living in a forest or being in the forest and know what the impact of logging is or
Okay.
deforestation, so it can have a more personal approach to forest protection.
Okay, thank you. And
Also,
the second question is about what do you mean with resilience as a skill?
and research skills is the to work on the information. It's more like that.
Ah, okay, 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 okay,
To deal with
okay,
information and to know what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is true, what is false. So
okay,
that type of
perfect.
skills.
Thank you. It's really
Resilience
complete.
is to not give up. It's related to eco hope.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
It's okay, perfect. Thank you for the list. It's really complete and extensive, so thank you. The group climate conscious food shopping. There's a person that want to represent there's one of you that want to represent the group. If not, I can skip. We are not
I was in that group.
Okay. Oh, there's a
Luana,
problem with the connection. Sorry.
Yes, so we were talking about this idea of being conscious of the issue when you are buying things, particularly food, because we felt
Okay.
that students would be more likely to be buying food than, say, big televisions. So we looked at some of the knowledge
Okay.
and we listed some key points, including people added in seasonality, being conscious of that, but also knowledge of the linkage between the product. Many people, when they're shopping, of course, not even thinking of that issue. We talked in class, in my classes just recently, about Nutella and palm oil.
Okay.
Okay. So then the question around skills, we thought a bit about, well, in the shop environment, are they able and knowledgeable of reading labels, certifications, information, maybe even carbon labeling if it exists? But also this researching and having ability to critique and understanding things like greenwashing.
Okay.
And it sort of raised the question around the level of maybe knowledge and awareness of those things. Many
Okay.
students actually have got quite a high level of awareness and knowledge of these issues. It's quite impressive, but others, there's areas where it's relatively low.
Okay. Thank you. Critical literacy. Okay, so perfect. Thank you. The group waste management, plastic.
This is group
Okay.
3, and I have
Yeah.
been asked by Ryan on private if I could present, so I hope it's okay also with Maria and the other members of my group. The topic has been suggested by Maria, so starting with waste management in general, and then
Okay.
it has been then specified to the problem of plastic in a specific, that it's quite complex. So actually, we started with talking about the main knowledge that could be regarding chemistries or the polymers, the different kinds of plastic, and being that they are fossil material and so on.
Okay.
And then also because of the background of Maria, that if I understood correctly is chemistry. And then I actually shared about the one activity that I do for our local agency exactly regarding plastic. So we were trying to put together the different aspects. So besides chemistry aspects regarding polymers, and also the difference between bioplastic, and then open a door to talk about the difference between biodegradable and compostable, which relates also to waste management. The idea of to talk about the history of plastic, so when it was invented, how it develops in society, how fast, which kind of use, and so on, because it can give also not only chemistry, but when in time it has been used, and how much, and in which purpose. And so again, statistics with different kind of data of quantity of plastic that is produced, by whom, and how much of this plastic regards packaging, and which kind of plastic. So connecting to the speech of reducing plastic and reducing packaging, why it makes sense. It's not only a marketing thing. Also regarding the biology, so the food chain, and the health and the ecology of the system. And I mentioned also the different laws that we have in Europe right now that are banning plastic, so to say, also regarding with data from different NGOs and different civil society organizations that regarding objects that we found on the beaches. So it's very complex, because it's from what we do in our everyday life, and a problem that it's far away in the middle of the sea, that maybe, for example, for someone here in Trentino that are in the middle of the mountains, it's not my problem and far away from me. So again, you put together values and the chain of things and economy, how this commerce of plastic. So we haven't been very brave to talk about the skills, but because we are a very talkative group, or maybe I was talking too much and our time was over.
Okay, thank you for sharing. And the group greenhouse effect, the last one, but not.
Yes. So first we started out trying to find a common range of age that we have all experience teaching with, and settled on somewhere in the age range of 14 to 15 years. And we chose a very broad topic in the enhanced greenhouse effect, which is immediately visible in the specific contents column, where basically all STEM fields are impacted, and also something that could be talked about in like, for example, language classes, so how different areas of the Earth are impacted by the enhanced greenhouse effect, and maybe even historically speaking, how we got to this sort of system that we have today. And yeah, in the end, we added people's behavior, like, for example, taking the car instead of the train, or buying different sorts of product, which relates to the life skills that we also added in the skills column. Basically about, like, how can I live more sustainably, and what skills do you need for that? We have green skills in general, and yeah, basically a lot of skills from the European framework are needed for that.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
also communication was important for us to yeah, because this all needs to be communicated with each other, and people need to learn from each other, and it has to be some sort of community-driven effort, and not a one-way communication.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. As you can see from the result of this first breakout, this first task, when we talk about sustainability, the easiest part is it can be to understand what kind of contents we should provide with our students. And when we talk about skills, it might be more complex, because you know that skills are the most difficult part of the education. So this is the point where I'm going to share. Can you see now my
Yes.
my presentation? Okay, perfect. And when we try to start the educational process in a different perspective, so when we decide, okay, I want to try to foster my students' skills, and through them to give them also some content, we have to change perspective. We have to change didactical approaches, and we have to change completely the mindset. And this is where this approach called game-based learning can be really, really helpful. I'm going to skip the slide with the QR code, because otherwise we are going to be really, really strict with the time. And I just want to start from this part. So game-based education is the pedagogical framework within we can have these approaches that are all part of the game-based learning didactic approach. They are three. Oops, sorry. Gamification, play and learn, play a game and learn, and game jam or game design. Gamification is an approach in which you are going to introduce the game rules, so scoring, feedbacks, quizzes, and whatever, as part of the tasks that you ask to do to your students. The easiest gamification approach is the use of some tools such as Kahoot and whatever. So you are going to ask to your students to be a kind of game themselves. Playing a game, it means that you are going to introduce a game as part of your lessons. So you are going to ask to your students to play the game, that can be digital or analogic, it doesn't matter. okay? But they are going to play, and through the game, we expect that they are going to learn something in terms of content and also in terms of competencies. And then we have a third part of the game-based learning, a third approach that we can use is the game jam or game design. And is the part of the game-based learning in which we ask to our students to design a game. If we can ideally have a kind of grade on these three types of game-based learning approaches, the easiest to apply, but the one with, I don't want to say less efficacy, but in a long term, it can be considered as less as a lower efficacy, is the gamification. It's easiest to prepare for us, but in a long-term perspective, we are going to increase some aspect that we don't want to increase actually. Playing a game is an intermediate way to use the game to teach something to our students, and the most effective one, based on the latest research, I'm so talking about the latest research about these three approaches in game-based learning, is the game jam or game design approach. Is the less used, especially in secondary school and primary school, because it's the most difficult to apply. It requires a lot of time, and is also the most difficult to assess and evaluate. So this is why it can be the most efficacy, but it's not the most used by teacher. This is, oops, sorry, okay. This is the pedagogical framework that is the base, the origin of the game-based learning. It means why a game can be more effective than other tools for a lot of students, because it can be really effective in terms of engagement, because it can be really engaging through the mechanic of the game, through the dynamics of the game. It can increase also the cognition, because a game can vehiculate a lot of contents, and we are going to see what kind of contents and with what kind of elements of the game we can vehiculate some contents. And it can be also effective because of a social aspect. When we ask to our students to learn together, all of us know this, most of them, they are going to learn better and in a more safety way. They feel more confident, more free to fail, for example. So this is why game-based learning, by a pedagogical point of view, might be really, really effective. I'm using Mike because it's not a kind of mathematical equation. It doesn't work for all of the students, and it doesn't work for all the days with the same classes. We can have different results, and it's really a contextual learning experience. So I don't want to give you really an idea that is not real. It is not all gold, okay? Why and how our students can learn. If we introduce the game, we are going to focus now first more precisely on the second level of game-based learning. So in using a game as a part of our lesson. So we are going to understand how to explore how we can introduce a game, and we can introduce the playing time as part of our lesson. Ideally, a lesson based on the use of games should be structured in three parts. The first part is the initial part that is mostly in charge of the teacher, because we have to set our learning objective. We have to find the right game to play. We have to set all the learning content that we want to explore with our students. After this part, we are going to give to our students a set of instructions before they will play. So during the instruction, which is also the part that is in charge of us, we can decide if we want to introduce some concept or if we don't want to do this. It's just up to us, and it's our personal choice. Then we are going to observe our students playing the game, and during the game session, what we expect is that students, they are going to learn while they are going to play. I say what we expect because this is not exactly what happened in a real context, and we can discuss this later. At the end of the game session, we are completely in charge of the last part of the structure of a game-based education session, and is the part of the debriefing. In a real context, we can expect that the learning part is mainly here, and I will tell you why later. So the debriefing part is one of the most relevant part, but it's also the part that often is just the last 5 minutes of the activity. And I want to highlight this because this is really the critical point. During my PhD, I did a lot of of experimental part with a lot of students. And what I could see is that during the debriefing, they can learn much more than just playing the game. So please consider the third part one of the most important part of the structure of a lesson. So just to recap, the general structure of a unit based on the game is done by 3 parts. The first part, in which we are the main protagonist of this part, we have to set our learning objective, the learning contents, find the right game, and prepare all the materials we need to assess and to evaluate, to observe what is going on in our classes. Then we have the playing session, in which we expect that our students are going to learn something while they are playing. And the third part of the game-based learning unit will be done with the debriefing. So it will be, again, totally in charge of us in terms of responsibility, I want to say. We are not the protagonists, but we are responsible to guide this part. Oops. I have used a lot of may, my, we expect, because it's not easy to implement this kind of approaches. First of all, to do this, we should have a lot of knowledge before. So it takes to us a lot of time. We have to study the pedagogical framework we want to refer to, and we have to know really well how a game is done, what kind of games we can have, and whatever. The efficacy of a game-based unit depends a lot from the target audience. Okay, not all the students are happy and are willing to try a new approach. Not all the students can feel confident and comfortable in a gaming session. And the flow of the students, which is the guide, which is the feeling of being involved, completely involved in the game session, can be really an up and down, especially now that the focus ability of our students are really reduced by a lot of inputs coming from outside. It's time consuming. We need a lot of time to prepare the module. We need a lot of time to implement it. It's not easy to evaluate. And all of us are really aware about this big problem. At the end of a unit, we should have a number to evaluate our students. And it really depends from the game characteristics, because not all the games are a good game for all the students. So it's really a good tool, but it's not always a glitter with gold. When we talk about game-based education, we first of all talk about a lot of different approaches. We are going to focus today on a serious game. It means that we are going to focus on some games that are explicitly designed to be effective in terms of education and also in terms of having fun. But fun is not the first objective of this kind of games. So they are a specific part of the biggest universe of games, and there are a lot of them available also on as a commercial game. This is just one of the definition, but it's just to give you a kind of approach. There are a lot of them. So as I said before, the primary purpose of a serious game is education, and then the part linked to the entertainment. But what do you know about the game? What is a game? This is a really nice picture because it represents what is a game. A game is an artificial conflict. If we want to be really strict, as a definition, is an artificial conflict. But more widely is a system in which players, two or more, engage in artificial conflicts defined by rules that result in a quantifiable and really clear outcome. So they are going to win or lose. I was thinking to give you a short introduction about the story, but I don't want to waste time. So just to give you this idea, the story of games start really, really early in the human history. What I want to highlight is this one, the landlord game, which is really nice because it was designed for the first time in 1903 by a female, Elizabeth Maggie, and it was designed at the beginning to give some hints to the people about the negative effect of the new economy. And the new economy was what we today call the globalization. After it will completely change, it has been completely changed by the new person that bought the reference, the patent, and it becomes a way to increase and to enhance the skills of the people to be part of this new economical system. So it was just something fun to know, I think. Okay. A game is done by different parts. Mechanics, patterns and elements. Just to thinking about the chess, all the elements are the board of the chess and all the part of the pieces of the chess. The patterns are the characteristic of the elements of a game, and the mechanics are the relation and the rules of a game. These three elements can lead the artificial conflicts, so can give to the players an idea of what is the dynamic of the game, and they will end with a result. They are going to win or they are going to lose. So all the part of the game can be a way to convey some contents or can be a way to foster some skills. About the element, we can convey contents through, for example, card and meeple. Here, I reported some cards from scientific games because, again, we are talking about a serious game. So games really designed for the education purposes. As you can see, this is a game called Cytosis. And these are the cards of the game. So you can see pieces of the cell. These cards come from the game called Evolution, and all the animals are defined by a set of evolutionary characteristics. But we can also use meeple to convey some contents. This is a game about a periodic table and how elements can be combined to have compounds. So the meeple of the game can be a way to convey some really specific contents. So knowledge. Also, the storyline can be a way to convey some part of the contents. This is the pandemic game, and is a game about how how viruses can spread through the world and can be the beginning of a pandemic, and how we can work together to fight against these viruses. And to be honest, this game has been designed 10 years before the COVID, so please don't be misled by this game. But also the tabletop. So the tabletop of the game can be a way to show to your students some really specific contents. This is, again, the tabletop of Cytosis. So it's a game about cell, and this is exactly how the shape of a cell with all the elements of a cell. But the game can be also helpful to convey some skills. The core dynamic of the game can be one of the most effective way to foster some skills, specifically life skills. If a game is competitive or is cooperative, will foster more, in the case of competition, a strategic approach, for example, or in case of cooperative game, will foster more some skills such as mediation capacity or communication abilities and whatever. The system of feedbacks and the system of rules is a way to give to the students some specific, to foster some specific skills, because it's a matter of strategy. And to think strategically, they have to understand how the system is done and how the system works. So this is really a powerful element of a game. We should be really aware about the different rules and mechanics, and we should study the rules of the game to understand what kind of skills we can foster with that kind of rules. And also the scoring system, because it can be a way to give them some specific, to put them in a really difficult position. So they have to think not just strategically, but they have also to make choices sometimes. So it means that they have to put their values maybe on a game. So just before a quick example of what it means, find a game that can be helpful to convey some skills and contents. This is a game. It's a cooperative and strategic game. It's for 4 players. And the core story of the game is that the 4 players have to cooperate to mitigate the negative effect of the use of natural resources. They have to recover the ecosystems, and they can do it through the green infrastructure. This is all the set of all the game. And just to skip, this is the tabletop. I can use it to introduce to my students to the concept of environment and landscape, for example, because this is an alpine landscape. How ecosystems are linked to each other and how many ecosystems I can have in an alpine landscape. And what is the meaning of ecotonal areas, for example? This is a really neglected topic in the science books, ecotonal areas. And I can just explain them at the beginning when I start to give them the instruction and I show to my students this tabletop. And the characteristic of different ecosystem. Then I can also use the cards. We have cards that represent different, these are the different green infrastructure. And we also have cards that represents different possible over-exploitation or overuse of resources or anthropic effect of the use of the natural resources. How this can contribute to the sustainability and how our activities can have a negative effect on the ecosystems. And this is just using cards, showing them the cards and explain to my students the instruction. Then I can use also the game element, the game rules, which I want to remember you, is a game based on cooperation. They have to strategically plan a way to fight against the anthropic use of the resources. I can try to foster their system thinking approach, the idea of the future that they can design together and how to solve problem. But being a cooperative game, I'm going to foster more than the others a lot of cooperation and negotiation capacity. And I can assure you that these two are the most difficult to foster and to ask to our students. So I want to give you a break now, and then the breakout room 2, in which I will ask you to analyze a game and to find the content and the skills that you can convey and foster through the game. So I think that now it's time to have a break for all of you. Or if you have any question, you can also ask.
Okay, so if there are no questions, maybe we could have a 10 minutes break and we can come back to the main room at 6:45 for a more or less 20-minute breakout room session together in breakout rooms, and then we can come back and ask final questions to our speaker. Okay, so we'll see all of you in 10 minutes time at 6:45. Thank you very much for your time so far. And thank you, Luana, for this very interesting explanation.
Yeah, maybe we are all here.
If you want. I just
Are
have
we
to
all
find the document. Yes, I do it here.
Are we all back? So the group 3, okay, perfect. But you did a really good job.
Do you think?
Yeah, considering the
Have you
difficulties
been
of
spying us?
No, yeah, I was checking because I know that is the most difficult one, so don't worry.
Yeah, it was quite hard. Yeah, and in the beginning we thought that maybe we were too tired to understand the instructions, but then Daniela saved us, saying that no, it's a hard game.
If you want, I can share with the others the game components, and you can start to talk about the game components. Okay. And then, okay. So here we are. Let's start with the group number 3 because it's the group with the most difficult game to analyze. I want to share with you, first of all, this is the title of the game. So the game is called Cascadia. And here we can see all the instruction, but I want to share with you the game components before and leave the floor to Wendy to show us something about their thoughts about this game.
Yeah, it was quite funny because the first thing that we could not decide that which one to see first, if the instructions or the parts. And we all agreed and laughed a lot that if you buy a new game, the first thing you want to do is open the box and check all the parts, and then you read the instructions.
Yeah.
So we have done exactly like that. We just start looking the pieces to have an idea about it, and then we start to read the instructions. So I try to be as brief as possible, exactly because we have not understand how to play, but we decided that in 20 minutes it would not be possible to understand the game and discuss the game. So after looking the parts and reading, as the Italian said, in dialogue, in more or less what it's written, we started our discussion. And by the name Cascadia, we know that it's described as the name of one region in Canada, but also gave us the idea of something that fall within together, so that one thing is connected to the other. I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but it gave us this idea regarding the name of the game. As the parts, there are 4 different parts. So the cards, the tiles, the tokens, you can see from the screen that Luana showed us. There are different ones. So you have different environments, but you also have different animals that you have to put together and score points. And those scoring cards have different features also regarding the animals. At this point, even without understanding exactly how it works, we know that the objective of the game is to construct a corridor, biodiversity corridor, to connect to different areas. And who wins is the one who managed to construct a corridor or to give an habitat that hosts at least five different species. Okay, so taking this into account, even though we haven't understood exactly how it works, we could think that as content, you have to know it's involved as content the knowledge of different kind of species, their habitats, their regions, the resources they need for survival. It also give you the idea of nature conservation, because you are constructing those corridors and creating habitats that needs to have certain characteristics in order to guarantee those wildlife animals. And so ecosystem, biodiversity, conservation, food chain, and so on as content. And regarding the competences, we discussed that in order to play the game, you should have a sense of observation, of reasoning, a strategy, in order to play. But as outcome, even if you don't have, if you don't know about biodiversity or ecology and so on, observing and playing and being in a position to build those things, you kind of learn by doing, or you can guess that this is important. So this is our conclusion.
Okay, now I just want to briefly ask to the group 1 or 2, because they were in charge of 2 really similar games. So one of group 1 or 2 is the same to share this game. And then I'm going to close this really long presentation. So if you want, do anyone want to share, talk about the game ecosystem or coral reef? Okay, we have 2 ecosystems, so we can start with this.
Yeah, if we want, I could say something about
Yep.
For our group, we talked about coral.
Okay.
That was actually a card game.
Yeah.
Coral. To me, it looked actually complicated. But yeah. Anyway, in terms of content, it had to do with you had to. It works. It helps to students to build a core knowledge or knowledge of the core aspects of marine life and all the animal species and all the different habitats. Basically, they're given at the end of the day, they have 20 cards that they have to organize in a grid, 4x5 grid, depending on their ability to recognize the different animal species and where they live, their habitat. So in terms of skills, it's a game which requires well, in terms of knowledge, of course, they need to have a knowledge of different animal species, their names, also where they live. In terms of skills, they need to have good memory because actually they need to be able to also recognize the animals, remember the rules because it looked a bit complicated. Also mathematical skills because depending on where they place their cards, they get different scores. So they need to be able to add up the scores and work with with numbers. Then categorizing skills, they need to be able to categorize animals. Also being able to to evaluate their grade. Is it a good grade? Do I need to acquire more animal species, or maybe can I get rid of some other animal species?
Okay.
That's basically, this is what we did. Then we ran out of time, basically.
It's perfect. Thank you. Just a hint, really briefly, before ending this session. When you talk about, for example, the score element, is the same for this game, for Cascadia, and for the other 2 games. If you can see here, the way of scoring is really linked to the ecology of the species. It's the same for ecosystem and for coral reef. So this is what I meant when I said you also the scoring system can be a way to convey a content. You reach a higher score if you have a really long big group of trouts, for example, or the eagle needs a lot of space. So that's why the highest number or alone eagle means a higher score. So this is what I meant when I talked to you about the possibility of using the score as a way to convey some contents. So thank you all for your passion, for being part of this session. I want to show you just this last kind of recap of how game-based learning unit works. So we have to do some work before, then we have to give to the students the time to play, and then we also have to consider the work that we have to do after the game session. Here, this is a step-by-step list of things that we have to do. It's complex, but, oops, sorry. It could work. So thank you for the time. Thank you for being here. If you have any questions, please ask me. This is my, somewhere, there is Okay, I can share with you after my email address, and I will share with you a list of references, books, paper, videos, and whatever it can be helpful to try to start this adventure called Implementation of Games and Sustainability Education. Thank you very much for your time and for your patience.
Thank you, Luana. Thank you for your energy, for your expertise, for all the very interesting materials that you have shared with us, and the insights that you gave into this huge world that we are very curious to explore together with you. Also next week, may I remind you that Luana Silveri will be with us on Saturday, the 5th of April, for a long workshop on game-based learning, where we can gain more experience, including hands-on experience on these topics. So thank you again, all of you. I have, as usual, shared the Mentimeter poll link with you in the chat, and we'll see you in hopefully in a week's time, and otherwise for our last webinar, which is scheduled in May, with Andrea Vettori from the European Commission. Thank you again, Luana. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.